Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli waj'al li waziran min ahli هارون أخي أشد به أزري وأشرك في أمري كي نسبحك كثيرا ونذكرك كثيرا وإنك كنت بنا بصيرا ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم وصلى اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Welcome, dear friends. We will start with our continuation of the 24th word. We were on the second branch. This is the commentary on the verse, basically from section 20 of the Quran, verse 8. God, there is no God but He. His are the most beautiful names. And we touched upon how in this universe we are encountering and experiencing nothing but different qualities which point to the qualities of the one who owns them, their maker. So the names, the beautiful names, everything that we experience has a beautiful name that's tied to how to describe the Lord of the universe. So they all kind of point to him. So we were kind of started the second branch. So I will read again the first mystery based on how the author is sharing like the different names that we experience. So of course, there are not just one quality that we experience, but there are many different qualities just like eating an orange, for example. And by eating the orange, we experience many different qualities. We can look at its colors, the smell, the shape, the form, the provision, the nutrition, and just by its sheer existence, just like a gift that is packaged and comes to me. So somebody definitely has thought about it, has the knowledge. I can conclude from that existence of the orange. When I enjoy myself, somebody bothered to give it the sweet, delicious, citrusy taste to it that I enjoy. So many different qualities can be derived from each and everything that we experience in the universe. And now in the second branch, the author kind of goes into a further analysis of how the variations of different qualities, one name may be dominant and then the other qualities may be subordinate to them. But also he's kind of is bringing into our understanding that, hey, there are like certain mysteries in terms of how these manifestation of names are being shared to us or manifested at different stages of our life and different experiences that we go through. We feel the different, maybe one name may be more dominant versus the others. So let me read the first mystery again so we can refresh our minds. Now, why do the saints differ greatly in their visions and illuminations, although they are unanimous on the principles of belief? So the final destination, the final point, unanimity is still on the principles of belief, right? So the saints' illuminations, which are at the degree of witnessing, so they're really using their human qualities to understand what is going on. So sometimes opposed to reality and contrary to the truth. So they may seem that way, that they are opposed to the reality and contrary to the truth, but they are all unanimous in terms of their seeing that, yes, these qualities point to an absolute source, definitely. Whoever has given me existence is showing me different ways of experiencing different degrees of witnessing. So everybody as an individual, we have our own abilities. So the degree varies in terms of how we perceive the universe, what meaning we get. So according to how much one has developed and is experienced and is further experiencing and learning. So we kind of learn along the way as we kind of make our progression in life. So, and why is their ideas, which they consider to be the truth? So they kind of are proposing and sharing their thoughts that, yes, this is how I see the truth, right? So it's relative to them as whoever the saints or whenever we have our conversations with people. So establishing them through decisive proofs, do thinkers and scholars see and show reality that seemingly, so we added this word seemingly, so that it seems to contradict one another. So all those thinkers and scholars see and show reality that seemingly contradicts one another, but so maybe it does not really. So we'll see how the author kind of goes along in terms of building his ideas and thoughts. Why does one truth take on numerous colors? So although it's the same truth, but it can have variations, degrees, and different shades and colors based on the individuals. I mean, that kind of makes sense to me. Yes, everybody can see different colors depending on what color glasses you're wearing. You will see that color, what you're looking for at that moment in your feelings. You will maybe experience more of those qualities. All right, so let's continue with the second mystery. Unless anybody wants to comment on this first mystery, we will see. I think this kind of builds up as the author goes on in this work. Now, the second mystery. Why did the early prophets leave some of the pillars of belief, like bodily resurrection? So this is an example of like the bodily resurrection, which is one of the fundamental aspects of belief. One of the pillars of belief is mentioned. So why did some of the prophets, early prophets, now leave some of the pillars of belief, like bodily resurrection, in brief form and not explain them in detail like the Quran? So that in the future, some of their communities went so as far as denying some of those concise pillars. So some of their communities went as far as denying some of those concise, so which are very short pillars like belief in the resurrection. But the bodily resurrection, I think, is more emphasized in the Quran. All right, so also, why did some of the saints only advance in the affirmation of divine unity? And although they even progressed as far as the degree of absolute certainty in divine unity, why did some of the saints only advance in the affirmation of divine unity? And although they even progressed as far as the degrees of absolute certainty in divine unity, some of the pillars of belief appear in their paths very little and in summary form. So this is a question. So in terms of affirmation or confirmation of the divine unity, and although they even progress as far as the degrees of absolute, so even if one is convinced absolute certainty, some of the pillars of belief appear in their past? Very little. So how they expressed it in terms of the pillars of belief, it's not mentioned in much detail and in summary form. So when something is not referenced in detail, then one doesn't pay much attention to it, basically. That's how I took it. Right. So the importance is if one keeps emphasizing something, that it tells you more how important something is. And as a result, those who followed them in the future did not give the necessary importance to the pillars of belief, and some of them even fell into error. Since true perfection is found through the unfolding of all the pillars of belief. Since true perfection is found through the unfolding of all the pillars of belief, why did some of the mystics advance significantly in them, while some remained very backward, whereas God's most noble messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, who manifested all the divine names at their maximum degree and was the chief of the prophets, and the all-wise Quran, which is the luminous chief of all the sacred scriptures. So it describes in detail all the pillars of belief, clearly and in a most serious manner and deliberate way. So in this paragraph, I take it in a way that, for example, the other message or the messengers or the scriptures that came did not emphasize a lot on the pillars, the fundamental pillars, basically. For example, the bodily resurrection that is given, or belief in angels, right? Or divine determining. Whereas everything has been much emphasized in the life of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and in his message, and also in the Quran, where resurrection is like a major theme in many places. Like, you're not here for this life only. Think about your life here. We are giving everything to you for a purpose. You will the disbelievers questioned, hey, do you think that the flesh and bones will be resurrected? How's that possible? So a lot of those things have been brought into the attention of the reader in the Quran and in the prophetic message. So one would say maybe gradual progression of the message that kind of emphasized on these pillars as the progression of the message happened in a way. But I would like to hear anybody's thoughts or what the author is trying to show, maybe then, or we can continue and then come back to it as well.
We are reading the questions. We are reading the questions. So I think the question is very clear, not difficult to understand. Since the Prophet Muhammad والسلام, emphasized all the pillars of belief, Quran emphasized on all the pillars of belief, whereas those people who follow the prophetic message emphasized one, I mean, not necessarily one, maybe two, but neglected the other beliefs. And why is it so? That's what I understood from the uh, question. And also, first mystery also has the same kind of question. I wonder the answer to it, and it is. I think we are going to read.
Thank you. Yeah, that is the question indeed. Yes, thank you. So we will continue reading, inshallah. All right, so now he gives kind of the answer, because in reality, the most true and complete perfection is thus.
Mm. Interesting, isn't it? The
I mean, what
perfection
I'm
is
saying, reality is something that true and complete perfection is such. So I guess he's going to continue. Yes, the wisdom in these mysteries is this. And he says, for sure, man is the place of manifestation of all the names. So look at man as the place of manifestation of all the names. But since his power is slight, his will partial, his abilities various, and desires different, he searches for reality among thousands of veils and barriers. So man searches for reality. At least we should try to be doing that. What the truth is, what reality is, why am I here, what my life means, why do I die, why am I given different experiences. And these are all the thousands of veils and barriers that man's life goes through. So, in uncovering reality and witnessing the truth, barriers intervene. So whatever we may be going through in our experiences, maybe at our work, maybe in our school or professional life, social life, all are veils and barriers, and they may intervene in terms of us realizing that they are the truths. Brother Ali, please go ahead.
exactly for example, the university. This was also important before going into the example. Now the Quran presents full emphasis on all the pillars of belief. The Prophet also teaches and practiced in his life all aspects of belief. Yeah, the human capacity, or let's say potentials, have also perfect in every aspect. Now, what is the problem? Everything is perfectly witnessing. The universe also witnesses to the reality of all pillars in the way that it is created, all pillars of belief. So why people, although they unite in belief in God, but develop and improve their potentials in different ways, exactly like in the universities. Yes, everybody has the potential to study in all departments, but people prefer one mostly, but rarely two, no more. But any human being's potentials are able to learn all of them. That is why I understood the first sentence because in reality, the most true and complete perfection is thus. That is important. Oh, is it the most complete, most true and complete perfection that some people will be mathematicians, the others will be physicists, and that is right, isn't it? Even if someone doesn't specialize in one of the disciplines, it cannot improve himself or herself, really. So we say, no, 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 concentrate on your subject because human beings are created with some, as he said here, somewhere, passages, barriers, yeah, veils, thousands of them. So although I have the potential, but I cannot really uh, convert them into all of them into capabilities, abilities to practice. This is how I am created. I have to accept this reality, the way I am created. That is why this is the complete perfection. So we shouldn't see them one branch of Islamic science, let's say learning fiqh, doesn't include belief matters. Belief matters, those people who are emphasizing on one belief matter may neglect believing in the hereafter. Usually those people who emphasized on the oneness and absoluteness of the creator, what they did, they wanted to see the universe is nothing but a just veil, but very thin, negligible veil. So my human body also, my human desires also neglected. So they didn't emphasize on the importance of bodily resurrection. Why? It is not important. Spiritual reality is important. The universe is not important. The creator of the universe is important. My spirit addresses the creator of the universe. My body addresses the universe. It is not important. So they didn't emphasize on belief in bodily resurrection because they emphasized on spiritual resurrection and spiritual side of the universe, if you like, meaning side of the universe, referring to the, pointing to the creator. So they neglected the very important, the importance of bodily resurrection. Inshallah, we are aware of it in our discussions. We emphasize that spirit cannot operate without a body. Names of God cannot manifest without a created, material, created form of this universe, so that I can easily communicate with them and understand them. So this is the real true, most true side of existence. So we have to combine them. While I am trying to understand the absoluteness of the creator, all the science in the creation refers to the universe, to the creator. So I should not ignore the mirror reflects the qualities of its creator. Although compared to the qualities of the creator manifested in the mirror of the universe, Mirror has no significance as compared to the qualities manifested in it. But this is the reality of this universe, that without the mirror, I don't see what is created in it, what is reflected in it. I need the mirror so essential. I shouldn't neglect it. Thank you.
Thank you. So why does the author say like true and complete perfection? So what is there complete perfection in realizing all this?
For human capacity is created with this reality, that I, as a created being, cannot be perfect. So I should emphasize on one or two sides more than the other, so that I will really get into the deep meaning. So maybe the author will explain it. One person will be chemist, the other person will be engineer, the other person will be physicist, so that we can make something together. That's what I understood. So whoever wants to follow, then they, for example, if you want to understand, go and join the Department of Belief in the Hereafter. If you want to understand the reality of the angels, go and study in the uh, Department of Angels. Like this, I understood. That is very true for human reality.
I see. Thank you. Right. So any other comments by anyone?
So, from what was shared, the mirror is really the physical side of the human being, which shouldn't be disregarded because that's where everything is manifested. I mean, yeah, you can't have one without the other, spiritual side and um, bodily side.
Yeah, any thoughts, comments? Yes, you're right. So the mirror, which reflects, correct. We need the mirror. All right. So in continuing reading, so in uncovering reality and witnessing the truth, barriers intervene. Some people cannot bypass the barriers. Their abilities are all different. The abilities of some cannot support the unfolding of some of the truths of belief. The abilities of some cannot support the unfolding of some of the truths of belief. Moreover, the colors of the name's manifestations vary according to the place they are manifested. I thought this was also important. So different shades and colors of the qualities vary according to the person, the place that they are manifested, according to the mirror of the person, how much they are reflecting and how much closer they are getting out of that variation or that color of the truth that they're seeking. So they become all different in that way.
Mhm.
Some people who manifest them, so manifestation of the qualities, the names, cannot be the means to the complete manifestation of a name. Right. So nobody can say, I've completely mastered it. complete manifestation of a name. Also, the manifestation of the names takes on different forms in respect of universality. So the universality is there, but it can take different forms. Particularity, shadow, or originality. Some capacities cannot transcend particularity, and some cannot emerge from the shadow. In some capacities, sometimes one name is predominant, and it carries out its word and rules in that capacity. Now we shall make a few indications to this profound mystery and this extensive wisdom with an enigmatical, comprehensive, true, but somewhat complex comparison. All right, so before we go to that comparison, basically, Sana, you can go over it. Yes, Brother Ali, go ahead.
So we have to know, as this sentence says, just a minute, it is getting dark. Yeah, as the sentence says, the abilities of some cannot support the unfolding of some of the truths of belief. So, moreover, the color of the names, manifestations of the names, vary according to the place they are manifested. So if someone cannot really think in a critical way, questioning way, they just take it from the authority. For example, he or she may rely on an author or on a scholar. Whatever the scholar says, that is truth for him. We should not really force him or argue with them, with this kind of people, and also some others should not argue with us when we cannot do something. Whatever beyond my capacity. So we have to be careful to whom I should say what I should expect from any person. I have to know what capacity does he have, and accordingly I should speak to him. Then accordingly I will be in an expectation of his actions. So I shouldn't force them. I shouldn't even offer them. This is the very prominent wisdom that the Prophet Muhammad والسلام, practiced and can be seen. He was speaking to the people, any person according to his capacity. That is the true. That is why the most true way is this. Complete perfection is this. Complete perfection is not that everybody will know everything. Everybody will have the same capacity as the other people.
This is a very good point because that's why we have analogies, so people can extract whatever message they can get from it. And at the same time, I agree that it's also sometimes you don't know where the other person is coming from, but sometimes just to start a little conversation or just trying to help the other person out, it's also important to share out or just not share like a little bit about your personal experience as well. Otherwise, people cannot connect with you. People cannot relate to you. They would, say, "Oh, you're like a sage or something," or a wise person coming, sharing. You have it all perfect and good. Hence, I think in order to help others in terms of letting them know what the reality of this universe points to, it's also important to sort of find a common ground, make some sort of connection. So, um, and then it's just like getting warmed up and then helping them through that. And I feel that that's also the challenging part, establishing a connection. I mean, because nowadays people just want to, they would want to connect with you based on if you share something common. Um, Other than that, it's just like, oh yeah, who are you? Okay, you think you're some sort of like mighty person out there. But I'm just wanting to highlight this based on the comment that Brotherly shared and based on some of my experiences of what I'm finding out. And at least for me, that's where the real struggle lies. Like people would want to know like the truth, like what the experiences that they're going through point to, but at the same time, there's got to be a connection in terms of, oh yeah, we have something in common. Otherwise, like, oh yeah, who are you to speak? You don't, you're not on that side of the island, if you will. All right, some thoughts. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you. Any other thoughts? So these things like the universality, particularity, shadow, or originality. So those are the different forms the manifestations can take. Right. So it may be particular to someone, maybe may see something particular that is they may realize different qualities. For someone else, maybe something else, and then maybe there's more of a shadow or maybe an originality in terms of the real thing, how one is experiencing it. But I understand this part. So some capacities cannot transcend particularity. And what is this author implying here? So every human being has their potentialities and then capacities. They cannot transcend particularity. Maria, your hand is up. Go ahead.
Yeah, from what I understand from this is pretty much how open are you as an individual? Because we set barriers and limitations within ourselves where we think, oh yeah, I'm an open individual, but I'm not. Hence, one has to really do some check-in within themselves to be open. Otherwise, all these ego caprices, toxicity we carry within ourselves um, sort of limits our view on things. And so, therefore, in that state of being, my capacity cannot transcend the particularity. For example, I don't know, I'm like trying to figure out like an analogy here. Let's take 11th graders. One of them is taking advanced, I don't know, science, and the other one is taking general science. Um, Perhaps the general science one would think, oh, this is it, what I know, I mean, it's within their capacity, but the student from the advanced level sort of has opened their horizons to capturing more of, what's out there. But like capacity, I mean, potentiality wise, they all have the same abilities in terms of grasping. But perhaps the kid from the general, sciences class thinks that this is it. I cannot go one step further. And so with that, they'll never be able to see what the other kid from the advanced class is trying to get their attention towards focusing on. I don't know if that analogy helped, but that's how I understood it. But let's see what others have to say.
Yeah. Thank you. I took it more as like a being in a bubble of whatever you learn, for example. That's a particular that you are, and then never go beyond that bubble sort. To some capacities cannot transcend particularity. So not seeing maybe the bigger picture or the universality of the thing. So just being stuck in that event or that particular situation, maybe a particularity. But we're talking about how the manifestations of the names, right, in this case. So just maybe in that particular scenario, just being stuck there, not expanding it to make it more universal. That's how I took it.
Yeah, true. That makes sense too. I feel it's two sides of the same coin at the end of the day. Not being open, really. Because even if you're within your bubble, you choose to be that way, pretty much.
All right. Any other thoughts? All right. Let's go to the example then. Let us suppose an adorned flower, a living droplet, enamored of the moon, and a translucent atom which looks to the sun. Each of these possesses consciousness and some perfection, and each has a yearning for that perfection. Together with indicating many truths, these three things also allude to the spiritual voyaging of the soul, the mind, and the heart. So, voyaging of the soul, the mind, and the heart. They also correspond to three levels of those who investigate reality. So there are three things: a flower, that's one, a living droplet, enamored, that is kind of a transparent kind of thing, and a translucent atom. Oops, did I not underline that? Droplet. There we go. So a little more, a dense object, adorned flower, a little less, and then the least dense object, the translucent atom, more transparent, through which looks to the sun versus the living droplet looks to the enamored of the moon. So highly dense to a less or to a more transparent object is kind of the degrees one can venture through in their voyage of the soul, the mind, and the heart. So three levels of those who investigate reality. The first indicates those who follow the path of intellectual thought, those who follow the path of sainthood, and those who follow the path of prophethood. It looks great to do this, follow the path of prophethood, of sainthood, logical reasoning, intellectual thought. So that's what the first adorned flower represents. The second corresponds to those who approach reality by striving for perfection through the bodily systems, and those who approach it by striving with the mind and refining the soul, and those who approach it through belief. Oh, okay. So they also correspond 3 levels of those who investigate reality. So these are the 3 levels, right? Those who striving with the mind and refining the soul, and those who approach it through belief, submission, and purifying the heart. The third is the comparison of those who do not give up egotism, are plunged in works, and approach reality through deduction and reasoning only, and of those who search for reality through knowledge and science, reason and learning, and those who approach reality swiftly through belief and the Quran. Poverty and worship. Those who approach reality swiftly through belief and the Quran, poverty and worship. So approaching reality through poverty and worship. These comparisons point to the wisdom in the differences between the 3 groups, whose capacities are also different. Thus,
I have a question. Sorry, I'm not sure if what are these first, second, and third? Are these different levels in terms of level 1, level 2, level 3, or these are just like 3 different routes I can take to reconcile my my queries and issues, existential matters?
anybody else who wants to? What's the question for you?
The first, the second, the third. So these are 3 levels of those who investigate reality, levels in terms of grade 1, grade 2, and grade 3, or just different routes I can take to understand my reality, such as route A, route B, or route C.
I understand the second, what you said, second, not the
Okay.
level, not the level. Paths, different paths.
Thank you. And so if that is so, then it seems that at some point it's good to know the different routes we can take, because sometimes I do feel we are either reconciling matters using the third route, realizing our egotistical mindset, and sometimes the second, I'm not sure, because it's talking about through the bodily system, and everything is involved within the bodily system, like interact with the universe through the bodily system. And so just,
They are approaching reality by striving for perfection through the bodily system. It means that is their way. So emphasizes on giving the perfection through the bodily systems. That is their route. Those who approach it. So when you say, look, I think we have to be slow down here. The first, the second, and the third. Now, these are aspects of reaching out the truth. But in each of them, there are 3 paths. For example, that is one aspect. The first, let's read the first, indicates those who follow the paths of intellectual thought. Now, the aspect is on the intellectual side of it. Those who follow the path of sainthood. Some of them within this category, if you take the reality to understand the reality within the first category, you will find them, they are following, certain people are following intellectual thought. Another group of certain people are following the path of sainthood. Another group are following the path of prophethood. Now, of course, there are degrees in it. Intellectual thought, and the degrees between intellectual thought, path of sainthood, and path of prophethood, we will see that the path of prophethood is the highest degree. Now, this is one category of seeing, going to the reality as it appears in this category. Another category also maybe analyze the ways going to the truth maybe analyzed in another category. What is this? Striving for perfection through the bodily systems, mostly concentrated on through the bodily systems. Another group approaches it by striving with the mind and refining the soul. Again, emphasizes on striving with the mind and refining on the soul. Another approach is through belief, submission, and purifying the heart. We can analyze these ways either in this way in the first category, or in the second category, in the third category. So we can connect them like this. The path of intellectual thought in the first category may fall in the second category, striving for perfection through the bodily system. So, for example, in the first category, path of sainthood may appear in the second category, striving with the mind and refining the soul. Again, be patient. I'm repeating with the same thing. Let's save the pattern in our life, in our mind. So, in the first category, following the path of prophethood may fall in the second category with the through belief, submission, and purifying the heart. They are the same. Path of prophethood means approaching the truth through belief, submission, and purifying the heart. The third is the same. For example, now, have you read the third one? I think
We did, yes.
yeah. So in the third category, let's take the same thing, same different titles. In the first category, let's say the first path was intellectual thought, right?
Right.
Intellectual thought. You can put number 1 here, intellectual thought 1 in bracket, or whatever, however you like it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, all right. Now, come in the second category, striving for perfection through bodily and thought, again 1, to make it understood. And here, yeah, in the third category, don't give up egotism, are plunged in works, approach reality through deduction and reasoning only. Reasoning only. Now, in the first category, their name is intellectual category. In the second category, their name is intellectual thought. In the second category, the same path may be described as striving for perfection through the bodily systems. In the third category, the same path may be described as don't give up egotism, are plunged in works and approach reality through deduction and reasoning. It means I am going to, that's why it is egotism. I am going to find the reality myself. So you can do the same thing in the second here, and second there, path of, yeah, all right. In the second category of the second is striving with the mind and refining. There, yeah, the 2. And the third, you can do it now. You got the system.
Yes.
Yeah. Continue. I mean, so we have to understand names may differ, but method doesn't differ.
Thank you. That makes so much sense now, but I'm looking into it. It seems that the path of intellectual thought is, because you're not giving up the egotism. It's rough to work out in that way because, I mean, it seems that then you're stuck in your own little bubble, especially if you don't give up in egotism. So I'm trying to understand the intellectual thought would be trying to reconcile things within yourself. So I'd cross out this path because it's not helping me. The next one, striving with the mind and refining the soul. I think, yeah, we all like human being is given the desire to refine the soul. You see that a lot in people like young kids, especially those who like to strive for perfection. They want to make sure that they are um, doing the right thing. But then this goes through, that's the path of sainthood. Okay, sainthood. I don't know much about it, but it sounds good. It sounds like, I'll be on a good track. Sainthood, right? It looks like, saints are known or sages are known to be wise people. And so that's through knowledge and science, reason and learning. Okay. I don't mind the second path, but the third path is path of prophethood. It's talking about through belief, submission, and purifying the heart. This seems to be a connection between purifying the heart and refining the soul. It seems that the second path and the third path are a little similar, or maybe the second path could lead you to the third path. I'm just wondering because if I'm stuck within striving with the mind and refining the soul, which is the path of sainthood, then it doesn't help me much. Or I don't know much about sainthood, but I know that prophethood should lead you to an eternal life, but sainthood may sort of lead you just to being happy within this universe. Just some thoughts to share on what is presented right now. And be happy to work out these three little paths, inshallah, to solve our problems because I feel that they should help. It's like presenting like a psychological formula to the
So
human being.
in each category, 1, 2, 3 are levels. So in each category, not first, the second, the third is not levels, but in the first, 1, 2, 3 are levels. In the second, again, they are levels. For the highest level is the third, lowest level is 1. But we shouldn't forget that all of them are striving to reach the truth. So we have to know which person is a candidate for the first one, the second one, or the third one. Which one? Some people are inclined towards the path of sainthood more. Some people are inclined intellectual thought, the first category, and some people are aware of the path of the prophethood. So since we did this today, I think my mind is clear now what we are going to study. So although we didn't read it, thus under the titles of flower, droplets, and atom. No, not the atom. It means translucent atom. It means really transparent particles. Yeah. Oh, that's a transparent particles. They only show the light manifested in them. They don't show themselves. That is resha in original language. So, okay, transparent particles. So, flower goes with 1. droplet goes with 2, and transparent practice particles goes with 3. So we understand that, for example, let's say in the third category, who approach reality swiftly through belief in the Quran, poverty and worship. Why poverty? We will understand. Because transparent particle, for example, the atmosphere, particles of atmosphere, we don't see the atmosphere. We see the light they reflect. Their egotism is completely annihilated, and as much as possible humanly. In the prophethood messenger, in the prophet's life, we don't see the prophet's uh, virtue belonging to him, coming from him. We always see that he was, and as the Quran says, what a beautiful abd he was. What was the original language? فَنِعْمَ الْعَبْدِ. فَنِعْمَ الْعَبْدِ. The Quran uses it. For all the prophets, it means what a beautiful abd, perfect abd, that he doesn't put himself as the owner of the truth he is presenting, but he is presenting the truth of his creator. That is why it is called transparent particle. I think our mind is somehow located what we are going to talk. Of course, there is reason why first is called flower, why the second is called droplet, why third is called uh, transparent particle, resha. There is reason. Inshallah, next week we can study that reason.
I wonder about, thank you, Brother Ali. I wonder about something in terms of the different paths presented to us. So if I were to follow the intellectual path, I mean, I feel that there's no guidance. I'm just working out within myself. I don't know. Maybe that's what we can talk about next time.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
go through the stages, this one. First, start from I'll find the truth, and then say, no, I need a scholar who will teach me. The third one is, look, my spirit witnesses the truth, so I will just follow the spirit as it is witnessed and practiced by the prophets and the Quran, directly manifests how God operates in the creation of the universe and in my own creation as well. So seeing God's action within my own existence.
Mm-hmm.
We can go through the stages as well, starting from 1, 2, and then 2, and then 3.
Okay, thank you. And you said that all these different categories have levels as well. So maybe once I realize that category 1 is not fitting to my human needs, whichever level I could be on, then I may hop into, if I'm presented with category 3, prophethood, or category 2. And I feel that category 2 could be prevalent now in this world, given the different schools of thoughts, philosophy, way of life. But then that has different levels. But then when you fail to see an afterlife, then you're like, oh man, I need something else. And hence that could lead you to category 3. Just sharing some rudimentary thoughts based on what's been shared.
Yeah, inshallah. So we will keep this in mind, all these different mappings that we did here all together. 1, 2, and 3, as Victoria said about the different levels in all of these different paths. So we'll
Mm.
continue on, inshallah, the tiles of flower, droplet, and transparent particle, and go through stages. Yeah, Faria, you had something?
Yeah, because I don't think so that you can fall into category 3 by default or by birth.
Right.
You have to go through intellectual thought
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and then perhaps sainthood, or you may skip it and
Yeah.
get directly to prophethood. Okay. That makes sense then. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Any final thoughts or comments? So we'll start maybe just with a review of this example again, and then we'll continue to read next time, inshallah. All right. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma alamtana. Innaka anta al-alim al-hakim. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. بحرمة سورة الفاتحة.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, everyone. Assalamu alaikum.